What is being Ali? Being Ali is a peek into my life, Zulu Ali. My story actually begins in rural Tennessee. A very interesting background. I'm actually a descendant of Nearest Green. Nearest Green was a slave to a minister by the name of David Call. David Call also made whiskey. And Nearest Green was actually the person who actually made the whiskey for him. David Call eventually adopted a son by the name of Jasper Daniel, and Nearest Green actually taught Jasper Daniel how to make whiskey. And later on, Jasper Daniel would begin to start selling this whiskey, and later on would be known as Jack Daniel. So that's where my story begins. My family came to the United States in the 18th century in rural Tennessee, where my life and my story begins. I was born in 1967 during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. I'm a descendant of sharecroppers and a grandmother and grandfather who were working class people. I was also raised by a single mother who was hardworking, who worked in a factory, and she also worked at a restaurant. She worked 2 jobs to raise me. Something was very interesting during the time period that I was born in 1967. It was about a year prior to the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. So the spirit in which I was born in was a spirit in making change and making things better, and that's how I was actually raised. So being me and being Ali basically is I have a very unique background, a background like no other, as an African American, as a Muslim, as a person who has a military background serving the United States Marine Corps, serving as a police officer, ultimately becoming a lawyer, and raising a family. I've been happily married for 30 years, never been divorced, raised my children. In some way, I've debunked many of the stereotypes and many of the myths that we have. Also, what is really interesting about my background is I'm an idealist. And it's very interesting and very difficult being an idealist in a world of people who are realist and people who are what I call pseudo idealists. Obviously, as an idealist, I see things from the perspective of how they should be, as opposed to, I guess, what people would say how they really are, as opposed to realists who believe that things should be addressed from a practical perspective. Now, what happens when you're functioning in a society of realists and being an idealist is very interesting in every aspect of my life. After I converted to Islam, I actually changed my name. And my entire name is Zulu Abdullah Ali. And Ali basically in Arabic means noble. And I chose the name noble is to kind of honor my mother and my grandparents, because I feel like that I'm from a noble background. Although they might not have been financially, wealthy, however, they come from good people, the type of people they were, the hardworking people they were. I believe that I'm from a noble family just simply because they're good people. My middle name, Abdullah, means in Arabic, servant of God. And my first name, Zulu, means from the heavens. So if you take my name and you read it from, like in Arabic, from right to left, then it would mean noble servant of God from the heavens. First, let's talk about my family. We'll talk about my wife, Charito, who we've been married for 30 years. My wife is Filipino. She was born in a place called Leyte. She was born in the provinces of the Philippines. We got married while I was stationed in the United States Marine Corps in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. She is very quirky. She's a firecracker. She's almost the opposite of myself. She's a very interesting person.